What's up, everyone? It's Scotty with MoneyVest. Another really strong day in the markets here as they continue to drift higher and higher. There's a lot of momentum behind NASDAQ and technology stocks. In my opinion, stay long, trade with the trend. It is what it is. Yes, the risk reward is very much unfavorable on the long side, which is exactly why I'm not really doing a lot right now. I'm just kind of sitting back and enjoying the ride upwards. And we'll be looking at selling some calls. I already have some Amazon calls that are in the money. We'll look at selling some AMD calls, maybe even Apple getting rid of some of it because of the swing trade that worked out really well for us, and IWM that I'm going to be planning to buy more because we're already up close to 2 to 3%, not to mention cybersecurity, CIBR, doing incredibly well, and SMH, semiconductor stocks, all of them hitting new all-time highs. Even cyber, CIBR up over 1.5%, and SMH was up another 1% on the day, with VUG also pushing higher a little bit over 1% on the day. So again, if you want to get access to all the alerts and find out exactly what I'm buying, what I'm selling, what options I'm trading, link's going to be down below. There's 2 more spots left for our Investor Bird early tier. So 16% annual discount expires in 2 days. So link's going to be down below. We'd love to have you on board, and make sure that you drop a like and subscribe to the channel as well. So overstretched by every single means, by every single technical indicator. Yes, the S&P 500 is topping over to some technical overbought levels here, and this right here is the market with a lot of momentum driving it to new all-time highs on the S&P at over 49.27. So if you come over to S&P, we're looking at another new all-time high at 4,929, 4,927. Also moving forward, we did have a lot of companies report earnings. So SoFi, I've got a video coming out on SoFi later, and along with Super Microcomputers, SMCI by far, in my opinion, was one of the best picks that we had as a community, because Super Micro, we've been talking about this stock from when it was sub $100, and now it's sitting at well over $500 per share in just a matter of 1 year. So it's seen one of the best performances in the markets with very massive gains. And of course, tomorrow we've got the big Microsoft, AMD, Google, and Starbucks earnings. I will be going over every single company. We'll be talking about these companies and these earnings, and of course we'll do some stock analysis on these businesses as well. So don't you worry, a lot of that will be covered in our videos. Now also don't forget, we've got the Fed meeting, the CME Fed Watch tool suggesting another 7 rate cuts priced in, 6 rate cuts actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rate cuts, coming down to as low as 3.75 to 4%. And again, the Fed meeting is going to take place on Thursday, for which I will be live, actually on Wednesday, I believe, for which I will be live to cover that as well. Now, again, Tesla recovering really nicely, up over 4%. Enphase also pushing higher. So I personally had a pretty strong green day. I was up a little bit over 1.5%, so slight outperformance against the S&P and the NASDAQ here. Nvidia, Meta, Google, all of them hitting new all-time highs. Microsoft at an all-time high. Adobe pushing up 2.5%. We had Amazon pushing up 1.3%. So a lot of momentum here across the board in a technology and Magnificent 7 and core tech. Not to mention, it was a broad-based rally. A lot of sectors participating, except for energy. Every single sector was green in the last 1 week. Again, all sectors pushing higher except for real estate. In the last 1 month, we have seen a little bit of a split market, with energy, utility, cyclicals pulling back here versus other sectors continue to move higher. Orange juice for the win, up a little bit over 6%, with cocoa prices, natural gas, and palladium also moving higher, so very nicely. We had volatility, sugar, and coffee prices selling off, with Bitcoin here just over 43,500 and Ether just over 2,300 as well, so lots of momentum coming back in. Now, earnings-wise, as I've already mentioned, we got lots of companies packed with Microsoft, AMD, Alphabet, Starbucks, Qualcomm. We got Altria, Apple, Amazon, Meta, Atlassian, ExxonMobil, Chevron. So the earnings calendar is pretty packed here for this week. And of course, we got the Fed meeting and the unemployment week. So it is going to be a very important next 4 or 5 trading days for the market, for which we have to be ready. And there will be a lot of live streams for the market as well. So we will be covering all of that. Again, link's going to be down below if you want to join, be a part of our MoneyVest community. We'd love to have you on board. And we may even do some private live streams throughout the week to kind of go over some individual stocks for everyone else. So going over to volatility here, so 13.6. So despite a little bit of a push higher, we did see volatility drop right back down to 13.6 levels. So we did see about a 15 level getting hit on the VIX and then coming right back down. So this right here inside this red rectangle between 11 and 12 is going to be a very important level of support. Not really a support, but a level that we are watching very closely. And of course, a target all the way up to 18 to 20 levels. inside this green rectangle also to pay attention to, because of course the VIX gets high, it's time to buy again. And right now, as volatility continues to be really, really low, the markets continue to drift higher and higher to new all-time highs. So that's really where we are with Bitcoin here, also seeing that momentum back higher to 43,000. So Ether at the moment on the daily chart, you can see that we are starting to see that momentum back up a little bit. We're at support at 2100, 2200, and Bitcoin here also starting to recover back up a little bit, back over $43,000, and that next target and resistance is going to be at $48,000 as well for BTC. Crude oil prices are on the rise again, so this is something to keep in mind because it could be a little bit worrisome considering how much crude oil affects overall inflation, which obviously affects overall interest rates. So that is something to keep in mind with the resistance and target all the way up to $80, $81 a barrel for crude oil, and support level is going to stay put at $70, $73 a barrel as well. So this right here is going to be that level. And again, target's going to be all the way up to $80, $81 a barrel as well. Talking about the markets, so S&P 500 here, as we have already discussed, just an incredible momentum higher, all-time highs. So price discovery right now, we're slowly and steadily kind of approaching 5,000. So that's going to be an incredible level to watch. And support level is going to stay put at 4,800 down to as low as 4,690 for the S&P as well. And of course, not to mention that we are incredibly overstretched and overbought from a technical standpoint as well. So you just got to be careful. Sell calls, hedge, de-risk a little bit, raise more cash for when the opportunity does present itself. Once again, if you do end up seeing a little bit of a pullback from the markets. Now going over to NASDAQ, so ticker symbol IXIC, you'll notice the NASDAQ here bouncing off of that support also very, very nicely. So this right here is going to be that area of support to keep in mind. So 15,400 is going to be that level. So this is going to be that support level to keep in mind, and resistance all the way up to 16,200. So that is going to be that next target. Not to mention, again, the RSI and the MACD are a bit more overbought again. And like I said, support level is going to stay put at 15,400 to as low as 15,150 to as low as 14,600 for the NASDAQ as well. All the way down to as low as 13,800, and of course aligned with that 200 simple moving average. That's going to be a much stronger support, but it's kind of hard to imagine the NASDAQ pulling back down to that level because that's going to be a good 13-14% drop. Anything is possible in the markets, but again, the trend is very much in the favor of the bulls and in the favor of the longs here. And next target, and pretty much the all-time high is going to be 16,000. That's the level to keep in mind for the NASDAQ. Another 3.5%, close to 4% upside left for the NASDAQ as well. Talking about Apple here. And Apple getting a bounce back higher from $189 close to $190. So very, very nice sort of support there for Apple. And resistance is going to stay put at $198. So that is still going to be that target that I'm watching for Apple for that swing trade. And support level is going to be aligned with that 200 simple moving average at close to $180 for Apple. So again, congratulations to anyone who was able to take advantage of that swing trade. We picked it up in the low 180s, kind of aligned with that 200 SMA. Saw a nice 8.5%, close to 9% jump here. And target's still going to be at close to $198 for Apple. Amazon, on the other hand, starting to break out of 160, almost 161, getting up to that level. So very nice move to the upside, coming up to that resistance right now. So this is going to be that level to watch. And support level, of course, is going to be close to $155 per share. For Amazon, support level is going to stay put right here. Again, RSI approaching those overbought levels, so you got to be super careful and aware of where we're headed next. And resistance right now, of course, is going to be at close to 161 right now for Amazon. Looking over at Tesla, so TSLA, and Tesla here also getting a little bit of a bounce back higher very nicely, so that's good. We talked about $180 support. It's kind of crazy that we literally pinpointed that support at close to 180, and Tesla's bouncing right back up from those levels after being really oversold, and that was the lower low. And this again is the overall downtrending channel, so I would not be surprised if Tesla does get a rebound back higher. At least there's 20 to 29% upside left on Tesla if it starts to kind of fill this gap back in, and if you do see that momentum back up to $250. So that is going to be that next resistance and target to watch for Tesla. Talking about Nvidia here, and Nvidia, of course, trading at an all-time high again, I believe so. Back over $600, trading at well over $624 per share, and again, pretty much at an all-time high. Very, very overextended, overbought RSI and MACD as well for Nvidia. Now, I do get a lot of questions, or not really questions, but comments in my other videos talking about how Nvidia's price to earnings multiple is really low. The PEG ratio is really low. Like, how can you expect Nvidia to be overvalued? Folks, the problem with that is that it's all based on assumptions, right? It's all based on assumptions that we have, that analysts kind of change given how the price performance is. That's one of the things that analysts are very good at, is that changing their price targets, changing their expectations as there is volatility in the price. So what you'll notice sometimes is earnings expectations have absolutely exploded for Nvidia over the last couple of years because of artificial intelligence. Now, if that materializes, great. Nvidia is trading at a reasonable to fair valuation, even at $1.5 trillion market cap. But if there's any chances, if there's any possibility that analysts could be wrong, which, spoiler alert, they can be and are most often wrong with those analyst expectations here on earnings, then there's a possibility that, okay, the valuation is a little bit more stretched, it's a bit more extreme, and we need to be accounting for that. So the way I approach sort of just the analysis part is being conservative, right? Going after a more realistic, more conservative approach of earnings expectations. If the company performs better, great. That's the cherry on top. That's what we're looking for. That's what this entire move represents, is the cherry on top for investors who bought early on, right? This is not the perfect ideal scenario. This is an anomaly, right? This is pricing imperfection, which of course Nvidia is very good at. But not a lot of companies, not all stocks are going to do that. Very few companies in the world are going to do that. In fact, over 60 to 70% of the gains, I believe that was the number, but I could be wrong, but it's very close. It's a very high number. Most of the gains have come from less than 5% of stocks in the market. Just think about that for a second, right? From a logic standpoint, that there's over 170,000 stocks in the entire world, and less than 5% basically means 170 times 0.05. We're looking at 850 stocks. That's it. That might even be a lot, actually. 0.05, 8,500 stocks. And even in the US, it's even more concentrated. It's actually more concentrated because it's less than 50, or might have been less than 25. I did a video about this earlier, that majority of the gains in the S&P, the NASDAQ, have only been carried forward by 25 to 30 stocks in the market. So just think about how rare Nvidia's and Apple's and AMD's and Meta's and Tesla's are in the world of investing and just trading in general. So it's very, very difficult to replicate something like this. So don't let Nvidia be like this, setting an example of how other stocks should trade. Nvidia is in its own league. It's its own sort of world, because it's a fantastic company and it's one of the best trending stocks in the world. So don't let Nvidia and Tesla and AMD kind of dictate how investing and trading should work, because these are very, very bad examples of how the averages work, right? So just wanted to put that out there. But again, I own AMD. I love AMD. I'm 60-70%. Can't complain there. Support level is going to stay put at $499, close to $500 for Nvidia. And Advanced Micro Devices, of course, also moving higher. Support level is going to stay put down to 157, down to as low as 130. And of course, that 200 SMA is also going to be aligned to 115. RSI, MACD, again, a little bit more on the overbought side. PayPal also getting a rebound, slight rebound here, so pushing up a little bit over 3.2%. So I've got a video coming out kind of summarizing the PayPal Innovation Day very soon. I'll be going over exactly what Alex Chris said, what he mentioned, and of course everything that needs to be discussed from a PayPal's future standpoint. Resistance going to stay put at $65, support level at $56 per share for PayPal as well. Talking about Visa here, and Visa on the day also moving up very, very nicely, rebounding a little bit over 2% back up to all-time highs. So incredible momentum here. Support level is going to stay put at $245 to $250 for Visa. And pretty much, again, at an all-time high with a very overbought RSI and MACD as well. Talking about Meta platforms, and Meta here also at a new all-time high. Incredible stuff, incredible momentum, back up to over $400 per share, market cap now well over $1 trillion. So it's done incredibly well. Support level is going to stay put at $383 down to $352 to as low as $330 to $315. So those right there are going to be some support levels to, of course, watch, but very strong momentum on the RSI and the MACD as well for Meta. Talking about Netflix here, Netflix also moving higher, starting to break out over $570, so very nice move to the upside. Very, very overbought, of course, on the RSI and the MACD here, with a very massive gap that's yet to be filled. Support level is going to stay put down to $496 to $485 for Netflix. And Google here also at an all-time high, 154 market cap, now well over almost 1.9, so almost $2 trillion, just over 1.93, pushing up over 68 basis points. Support level is going to stay put down to 150 to as low as 144, 140. The RSI very, very overbought. We just got to be very, very careful here, folks. Like, this is entering into a very interesting territory considering how most stocks are overbought. And if I go over this index, which is the Magnificent 7 index, right? So that's at 2134. Also overbought right now, broke out of this bull flag that we talked about in our previous videos. So very, very massive move to the upside. Just got to be incredibly careful, but because even on the weekly time frame, this is overbought with a very strong negative bearish divergence right now. So I'm just gonna put that out there, that I think it's really important to be cautious at these prices, at these levels for a lot of these companies. And then finally going over to Visa, we already went over Netflix, Google, Microsoft. Microsoft's going to be next. Again, all-time high, well over $409 per share. Market cap now sitting well over $3 trillion for Microsoft. And of course, we do have, again, the levels here. Microsoft, $409, $410. Very, very massive move. Support level is going to stay put down to $364 to as low as $349, $350 per share for Microsoft. And finally, we got Enphase and Costco, so ENPH. Moving higher, a little bit over 3.6%, so a very nice move to the upside. Still coming up to that resistance right now, so that is going to be a target level to watch at $131, $132 next. And then finally, Costco. We've got Costco here starting to move back higher, just under $700, but the support level is going to stay put at $644 per share. So hope you all enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, make sure that you drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Packed with lots of earnings and economic calendar stuff. I will be live over the course of next few days to cover a lot of different reports and interesting analysis. As always, make sure that you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Again, links to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below. Happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video.